Hey guys, this is Lucas from Better Coding Academy. I'm here again with Patrick and we are continuing the manga reader. Today's an exciting episode because we are probably going to be wrapping up the services, hopefully, and then we can start working on the brilliant front end.
Are we?
So Patrick, let's jump straight into it. Do you have any idea what we'll be doing today?
Nope.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's see where we were up to last time. If I remember correctly, we set up something here in order to fetch all of the mangas. So we have return manga.find, which basically then allows us to fetch all of the mangas here in the API. So let me get that running first. So just yarn wash here.
Is a sort, yeah, okay.
And which port was it on? It was on port 3000. Oh, whoops, my bad. Okay, so yarn docker start and then yarn wash again. So I just need to start that and then go to localhost 3000 here.
Yep. Do we have it last updated, sorted?
We have last update. Let me double check what we got up to. Slash GraphQL. So we got mangas. I think the last updated we ended up serializing into a date string. But that being said, we don't have multiple pages like pagination set up yet. But I was thinking, and I think this is what we were saying last time, is maybe if we set up an API now to fetch like individual chapters, and then after that we can basically start building the front end, right? And then from there we can like consider, doing different types of pagination and like query optimization.
Yeah, but right, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Okay, sure, let's go for that. So we have a list of mangas. Now we just need to get the chapters.
Do we store the chapters on our side as well in the MongoDB?
No, we can't do that.
Why not?
How do you do that?
Don't know. It's a good question. But let's have a look here. So we've got the Manga Eden API, and this one is for fetching chapters list. So let's just say okay, this one sounds safe for work, so we'll grab this one and put that one here.
So do you plan to go through all 6,000 mangas and do 6,000 requests per day and basically scrape the site? Because it's not that we don't have access to it in one object, so we pretty much have to scrape it.
That's true.
And even if we cache it, we don't know when to warm and break the cache, right? Like we can do that. So whenever someone requests it, we fetch it if it's not there, or if the cache expiry is expired, then we fetch again.
Yep.
We can do that, or we can just fetch it every time.
What if we, like you were saying, what if we do like a
memory cache?
So I think there are like three options here, right? Like the most non-fetching option. I guess like the most non-data storing option will probably be to fetch every single time, like from the actual API as like a direct kind of gateway to the API. The other alternative is we fetch as just in time and we store it locally in a cache. And then that way, if there is an update, like basically if last updated from the manga changes, then we can refetch from the API and we don't need to fetch locally, right? But then if the last updated is the same for the manga, for example, if this one isn't changing, then we don't need to refetch the chapters for the manga.
Yeah, look, my opinion is like there's no point. Like if the worst case scenario is like if we're fetching anyway, we may as well fetch, right? Like it doesn't break the worst case scenario. Like initially, the very first, say, day or hour, every single manga is going to be not warm. Like the cache is not going to be warm for anything.
What do you mean warm?
Well, like there's be nothing in the cache for anything in the initial case, right? So whatever our solution must be able to handle that load anyway.
Yeah.
Like the worst case scenario.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I think the best thing to do is to what you said, the memory cache. So what we do is we'll set up an ASIOS because we need to do the actual request, right? Before we forward it to the client.
Yeah.
And then we'll just do a ASIOS cache interceptor and set it to like a day. Or
what
like
if
6 hours or something?
Wait, let me just.
And it'll be good enough as a.
Oh, you mean just like as long as the server is running, then we just kind of keep it? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So if the server restarts, then of course you have to rewarm the memory cache. So the only negative
side. Warm, as in like hot, cold, warm.
Yeah.
Warm. I thought it was like warm. I'm like, what's warm? Okay.
Yeah. So the worst case is like the initial boot where none of the caches is warmed, like there's nothing in it.
Yep.
But if we start off with just that, like an Axios memory cache, then we can migrate the store to Mongo if we want to optimize it, but we don't need to really.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Like the interceptor itself should let you pick what store you want to use, and it just defaults to memory.
What about
Honestly, it honestly won't be a problem.
What if we
Risky, man, looking up pages.
Yeah, I know, very risky.
Yeah, you never know what's in manga. Yeah.
What about like the other option I was thinking?
Especially a manga called Princess Happily Ever After Marriage.
Yeah, that to me sounded the most wholesome.
Yeah, okay. I wouldn't have looked it up live, but yeah.
This is wholesome.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's not live. We have the power of video editing. It's all good.
True. I don't want to see it though.
Yeah.
True.
Neither do I. Manga's for weeps. No, so the other option that we have available to us is, what if, like, as part of our cron job, the other alternative is for every single manga, it just runs through and it gets all of the chapter information for each one.
There's no point, because what if the manga never gets read?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, like more than half the manga will never get read. It would probably be like the top 500 that gets read, and everything else probably gets read like once every year.
Never. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That makes sense. Okay. So then your example, so your idea of a cache is essentially just a request-based cache. So based on the URL sent through, you store it inside of Axios, and then if the server turns off, then it's gone. Okay.
Yep.
Right.
So I can talk about the thought pattern more. So we want to split the architecture. Like, we don't want to assume where the cache lives and how the cache operates. We just want to know that it's going to be cached somehow. Yep. Like, we just want a just-in-time cache, right? And that's why I'm working from like the request backward rather than the database, like top down rather than bottom up. So then once we have the caching mechanism, switching out the case is a different problem.
Yeah.
Which means we can unit test if we're in production with memory cache. Because if you do bottom up, you find yourself like often locking yourself into design patterns that are hard to test.
So let me see if I got this correct. I'm gonna open up Draw, because I think that this example here is the one that you said is quite an interesting one, in the sense that so specifically, let me just zoom this in a little bit. So you've got so this is kind of the more naive solution, right? Is like you have the client at the very front, and then inside of your server you have like it talks to the GraphQL API, and then so it talks to GraphQL, and then the GraphQL, oh my gosh, I keep forgetting, would then talk to the, I guess, external API. Yep. So like, say the external API is over here.
Yep.
So it would talk to that. And then the GraphQL would also talk. So, I mean, this is purposely bad, right? This is the bad solution. And for database, we should probably use this.
No, it's not bad. We have a database.
No. What I mean is, I'll explain. So we have the database here.
Yep.
And it also talks to the database. Like that, right?
Yep.
But then the problem with this layout is then you are relying upon GraphQL to not only do the fetching, but also to do this as a cache. So it's probably better to describe it as a cache or cache or whatever, right? So then the problem here is you're relying upon the implementation details of the cache, as opposed to having this like abstracted away. So instead of this, this is like the, I guess, bad solution. And the one you're proposing, if I got you correctly, is we have our client, we have our GraphQL, and then we have chapter fetching interface or something, and then that interacts with the cache.
No.
Really?
Well, yes. Like, I think by GraphQL, you mean GraphQL, not the actual service, because the fetching interface is part of the service, right? It's not like a separate thing.
Yeah, no, like it's basically the server. So this is like, the GraphQL is as in like when the user makes the query for the chapters, then you have your query handler, and then the query handler would go through this, right?
I think yes. I think like the GraphQL and the chapter fetching interface is one service. We're monolith. It's not separate. Just to make that clear, because it looks separate to me. But fair enough.
But my point here was
basically
essentially
same thing.
that by having this interface, let me get a dotted line, is like, for example, in this one here, the GraphQL is closely tied to the cache and the external API. But in this one here, you kind of have you have an abstraction, because in the future, let's say we use, right now we're using just Mongo, but in the future, if we use like a combination of like Redis, Memcache, whatever, if it does get to that, then it doesn't affect our GraphQL API. Yeah,
it also doesn't matter how you're fetching the interface, right? Yeah.
So it could be local, it could be straight from the service. It doesn't matter. So all of that is done in here.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So now let's start building that. So we've got our mangas. Firstly, let's set up, I guess, an API for that. We probably...
do you want to go back to the diagram for a second? Do you see any questions that you want to ask? It should be memory, right? It should be in session. Really?
Nope, it's gone.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. No, fair enough. Good. That's fine.
Yeah, I understood. I think it's just good.
Yeah, I think like what I was trying to fish is if someone asks, why can't the client just talk to the external API directly? It's because cross-origin.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And also because the external API can, it's probably not a good idea. Like in this case, it's okay to talk to the external API, and I don't think they have cross-origin issues. I think
they will.
They will at some point, maybe.
I'm pretty sure they will do. Really? you can't just because we're a PWA.
Okay.
So once we're deployed, they won't let our domain fetch the resources.
But then why would they have an external API like this then? I'm not it doesn't matter. But I think the point here is that this is more the exception than the rule. Most APIs won't let you fetch unless you go from the services or something. And the second thing is that it's probably, in this case it's okay, but in other cases it's not a good idea to expose implementation details like that, as to which API you're using, because there might be security risks. In this case there's nothing, but in some cases that could be an issue. So that's why we do this. Anyways, so let's move on. On this point here, we'll probably use the ID to do something we do probably chapters and then manga ID, and then the ID goes here, and then we do the fetching for the chapters. Okay. So that is the GraphQL part. Now we also need to set up Mongo as well.
Okay. Yep.
Because we need to set up a chapters thing, right?
No. You just have it in the resolver.
Oh wait, we're not storing it at all.
Yeah, we're not storing it at all.
Right. Yeah, I forgot.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So then in that case, we would straight away just do this then. So inside type devs, type chapter, and we do. Let's have a look at what chapter returns. Specifically, it just returns a bunch of images.
Wait, no. I think this is not the right one. This is a chapter.
Oh, we're returning the chapters, right? My bad.
But we want. Yeah.
But then what's this? And what part of this do we need?
No, this is we need all the chapters.
Yeah, I know, but do we need this?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what it is, but there's no point of stripping it out, right?
Wait, is this the chapter number? Oh, so this is chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, we need that.
I think we can tell what that information is anyway. So, here we go. Chapters number, chapters date, chapters title. Okay. Oh, and then the chapter ID. I see.
All right. Probably need everything except the date, probably.
Should we include the date anyways, or no?
Yeah, just include it. There's no... Yeah.
So we'll do ID as well. We have a name. That's a string. Name or title?
Title. Let's just do title.
Title?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
ID, title. Oh, it's called title here as well. Why did I call that name? Chapter number. That. And then the last updated. We can just do that right up here. Okay, so now we've got these 4 in here. We can do chapters, and chapters needs a manga ID.
Actually, this is wrong.
Why?
What we have wasn't a chapter, it was a manga. Oh wait, no, this is...
What?
So wait, maybe I'm a bit confused. So we have so I think there's two mangas. There's the like manga summary, which is the 6,000 one we got.
Yep.
And then this is the actual manga object that we're getting now.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the question is, do we need any of this? Because we already have the title, right?
Yeah. So well, stuff like keywords and stuff would be kind of nice, I think. And we don't have do we have image on the other one?
Oh, the image, yeah, we do.
We have, okay, cool.
But I think in any case, that just means we have to change our seed function inside of cron, right? Because then our seed function can also fetch the information from here if it needs
I think.
Or we could do like a just in time, like you said, right? Is like if we return
this one, one has to be just in time. So I think what we want to do is to rename the manga to manga. Just keep manga as manga, but I think your chapter should be manga info.
But then if we do manga info, do we have one manga info for each chapter, or?
You have one manga info that contains all the chapters.
No,
like you wanna keep your models married to manga Eden. Because what you just fetched wasn't a chapter.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking if, like, for example, if for type manga, if you're going to fetch this information, it comes from MongoDB. But what you can do is, for example, if you wanted the keywords, then that could be a separate property on here. So, for example, like you do keywords and like string like that. And then when fetching keywords, then it would request the information for that particular manga.
I don't think that's a good idea. I think it's, well, because right now you're constructing half an object. So in your MongoDB, right, you have half a model. But by definition, your model is supposed to have other things in it, and you're just fetching properties on the fly. So you're kind of disjoining what you have to Manga Eden. But if you just marry it 1-to-1, wouldn't that just make everything easier?
No, but then there's also the other problem, which is that technically it's meant to be API agnostic, right? It's not meant to, for example, this one might give keywords and then some other information, and something else might give different information.
That's the client, right? The client should be API agnostic. So the client is abstracted by your service.
No,
but the service
I know. But what I mean is, like, when you do manga and then you also do manga info, you can't, like, at that point, because manga info directly fetches from here, then it no longer has access. Like, it doesn't know whether it came from Manga Eden or from some different API or whatnot, right? Like, it...
True.
Yeah. Honestly, it's just... I think that from a GraphQL standpoint, like, having manga and then manga info with half of the information in each also doesn't make sense.
But now you have a problem, right? Like, well, I guess not really. Like, if you fetch manga, how do you avoid the API call?
You just don't include this. Like, if you include the right properties, then it won't fetch from the API.
Yeah, okay. Let's go for that and see how it works, yeah. Because what I'm worried about is, like, let's fetch the top 20 manga, and then you go and do 20 API calls for the manga info. Technically, that'll warm the cage.
Well, to be fair, that's fine. The issue is you don't want 6,000 calls at once, right? But then to get around the 6,000 call issue, all you have to do is prevent it from ever fetching 6,000 rows in the first place, right?
Yeah,
like, if you have the right pagination.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you omit the fields and it doesn't resolve, then I guess that's fine. But I just think it's safer to split it, because then there's literally no way you can say, give me the latest 20 manga, and it will just go and do 20 ASIOS fetches. Like, you'll always give you what's in the database. Whereas now it's kind of random. Like, depending on what field you get, you have a 50 millisecond response versus like maybe like a 10-second response.
That's true. But then okay, so let's just expand on that note.
But let's go your way, because that's more interesting.
Let's expand on that note, because actually, I think if you're going to mention it that way, I think there might be a better solution here. Because, okay, so the information we get from this part here, do you think this information is generally available across any manga API?
Keywords definitely.
Mm.
Authors definitely.
So do you think that the things that we're going to get from here are going to be API agnostic?
And chapters definitely.
Okay, all right. So then in that case, what we can probably do is just purely based on your note there, what we will have to do, like at the end of the day, is inside of Robo3T for each of our ones here, we need to include a source. Like for example, our source might be Manga Eden or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then on your note, what we can do is I think the best way to do this is maybe like additional info. I don't know what you would call this. Or just, I guess, info. But info is kind of like, maybe like info like that. And then this could return manga info. And then manga info could be the information you have there. Yeah, so this way you can't fetch like an array of manga infos. Like manga info is specifically on the manga. So with this way, you do have the flexibility that if you wanted to make, say, get a list of top 20 and do 20 API calls for this information, you could with one query. But then you can also just leave this out, and it's really easy to tell which comes from which.
Yeah, I think that actually makes a lot of sense.
Okay,
like that's like kind of the best of all worlds, right?
Pair programming, yeah. Bam. All right. So,
do we want to just whack the field on for now? Let's just assume we only need chapter. Like instead of manga info, we just assume chapter is our fetchable product.
Oh,
fetchable
like
field.
You mean? Wait, what do you mean in here?
Yeah, we can just whack in chapters, right?
So you mean like do chapters like that?
Yeah. And then make that one on the fly.
But here's the problem, is that if we do it this way, in order to get the chapters for a single, this way's not as good. So the reason I think this way's not as good is because if we do that, then what we have to do is we specifically have to do manga ID whatever, and then chapters like that to access the chapters. But the problem with this is then you can also do this, which I don't know if that's something that we want to be able to do. Because this would, in this case here, if this were working, or do literally 6,000 fetches. And if we like paginated it, might do 20 or whatever. But it's just...
But isn't that the same with manga info?
It is, but manga info is more generic information, right? Like if we're going specifically for the chapters and just like forgetting about the rest of the manga info for now, then I think the previous one makes more sense. Where like we can just fetch chapters literally, or what would you think?
I think like my idea was we can't really be bothered to make manga info at the moment, but it's essentially the same thing,
right?
Like chapter and manga info, same thing. So the architecture should be the same, and then when we opt out of it, we just move chapters into manga info, and
in that case,
structure should remain
the same. Like because of the way GraphQL works is like you want to keep the API that it never has like breaking changes. Or you try to isolate those. So, I mean, if you're going to say that, then what we probably should do is like manga info like that. Specifically for manga info, we can also do an ID. So just the same ID, just because if you have an ID, it can be like caching. And then chapters is like that. And then we'll keep it like that for now.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. But then we also need to include like a specific manga. So we can fetch a single one like that. So we have manga, which then we do. So then the API would be manga, ID, ASDF, whatever it might be. And then we would do, we do
manga info.
Oh, what was it? So ID, info, chapters, and then whatever else in here. And then ID like that or something like that. So, and also the ID you have to fetch for caching. If you don't fetch the ID, it doesn't work. So that's how that works. So now... let's create one for manga. So we grab this line, duplicate it, call this one manga, and then create a file called manga.js. Grab that, paste in here, rename this to manga resolver. Useless. Or what would you technically call it? Like context, I guess. And then the second one is args. So then we do manga.find ID args.id. Is that how it works? Guess we'll find out.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I came in not as the GraphQL expert.
This isn't GraphQL, it's Mongo.
Oh, Mongo.
It's Mongoose.
Just saw resolver. And I thought...
Is this like the same thing you do with PHP now? It's like you just go blind.
Can't read it.
Actually, can't read PHP. Yeah, this one's very, very suspicious, so I'm not going to fetch that one. Beauty and the Beasts. Anyways, let's give this one a go. Can't return null for non-nullable field mango.id. Wonder why that is the case. Console.log args. Yeah, so now, anyways, let's just try console logging this and see where that brings up. So it seems to be kind of hanging a while, and we do get the ID. So the ID does seem to go there. Mongoose issue? You're the Mongoose expert here. You've got to do this.
Alright, what's wrong?
I don't know.
What's wrong? Are you trying to use find? Okay, yeah. Find ID, blah,
Is it meant
blah,
to be?
blah, 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 blah.
Oh, find by ID, hey. Oh, I wrote ID. No, I wrote ID.
It still works though. Oh, yeah, it's underscore ID. Yeah, there
which
you
I
go.
think is stupid. But anyway, let's try again.
Bang.
Alright, let's just do find by ID, hey.
Yeah, that shouldn't make a difference.
Let's see if it makes a difference. It does make a difference. What do you know? Anyways, we've got ID, and the other one we want to do now is info, specifically. So, in order to do that, we've got Mango over here, and Mango contains ID and last updated, so we include info here as well. And let's just put in a basic like boilerplate here. So it would do something like return chapters, right? And also an ID, so ID will just do like, we're going to need Mango object anyways, but I'm just going to mock it up for now.
Yeah. Is it underscore ID?
No, just ID. This is just like a mock to match match the Mango info
Fair
here.
enough.
So chapters, we got ID, 1, last updated, never, number. Oh, we have to use a date. Oh, new date. Number is going to be 1, and title is chapter 1, whatever you call it. And then we do a second one. So it's chapter 2. Okay, so now once we save this and we go here, we play it again, make sure it works, and then go info, and then go ID, and then chapters, and then ID, title, last updated, and what was the last field? Number as well. Okay, so now we've got that coming up. So this is the API that we want to have, correct?
Yes.
Or should number be a number?
No, number should be maybe a string.
Why? Because it seems to make sense that it's a number, right? Like if we do
how do you know? Yeah, how do you know is check some of the data, man. Maybe there are stuff that is not a number.
They seem to all be numbers. On this one, let's try a different one. What's the original API we had is we'll just go here, I guess. And do Mango's ID. Okay. So we've got, say this one here, and paste that in, and they should still all be numbers. Yeah, they're all numbers, because this represents literally like an order by type thing, right?
Maybe.
In any case, it should go from like 1 to whatever number, because that's what we should expect from a series of like ordinal numbers, right?
Hopefully. What happens if it's not a number though? Like what happens if it's null? Just like bad data. Does it just crash? I just don't want it to crash. So we can make it a number as long as...
Well, it's not going to crash. It's just not going to be able to fetch that Mango, which I think is fine.
That's fine. That's fine then.
Because it's just going to give an error, cannot return null, whatever. And then, you can't.
Yep. Okay.
At the very worst, that's what's going to happen. It's not going to like turn the Node.js server down, which is...
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, for now.
Let's make it an int. Let's make it an int.
int. So now let's fetch this information. And then, so now we need to set up Axios for this, right?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. All yours. How do you plan to set up the Axios cache?
Where's the other Axios call?
Directly in here, I think. Yeah. So just straight into here, inline.
Can we move that out to maybe, I don't know, whatever
API directory?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to call it API. Just call it like Manga Eden or something.
But then, what if we put an API directory and we can have like Axios Manga Eden, and then Axios
Yeah, but
something
I don't
else?
really like calling API because you yourself are an API. Like just the naming. Like you yourself are the API. So when you say API folder, it's like, are we talking about ourselves or we talking
Okay.
about the other?
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I see your point. What if we call it externals?
I mean, may as well just call it like sources or something. Sources, adapter. Like, I don't know, externals just is kind of too generic in my opinion. Like, you can just call it Mango sources and then just call it Mango Eden.js. And that's literally what it is right now.
So, new directory, Manga sources.
Yeah, like I think that's a lot more descriptive than
Okay.
externals.
Sure. Manga sources, and then we'll call it like that.
Yeah, works for me.
Cool. So then inside of this file, would we export a constant Axios ME, or how would that work? Or just export constant Axios from here?
Just copy and paste it and just export const. Yeah.
Axios ME or Axios?
Let's call it in Axios instance, maybe, or just call it instance. Maybe instance. No, just call it Axios. Axios.
Global Axios. Like that. And then instead of doing this inside of this file here, we would do import Axios as Axios ME from hashroot manga sources manga Eden. Like that.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay.
Where's the actual call? Because that's just the instance.
The call's down here. We do .get straight away. Oh wait, this might be bad because Manga Eden. Okay, so the Manga Eden URL directly expects the actual API like that. Whereas we probably should do, given how the API works, it probably should be like that.
Yeah. Okay. And then have paths.
So then we have to change our cron. We change this as well. Yeah, we're gonna change this as well. So we'd also have to change our cron here because then we'd have to do like, what would it be? List 0.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we do this here, and then inside of Manga, we do import Axios from hashroot manga sources manga Eden.
Yep.
Or actually, if we're going to be consistent, Axios ME, and then we use this to fetch chapter information. So
I don't think I think we should define the calls in the sources. So if you go back to the cron,
this file here or this one?
Cron, here, and use.
Here.
Yeah, so I don't think that should be a thing. Like get. This? Yeah, I think that should be defined in the sources.
Okay, so how would you say we do that?
Just whack it in, I guess. Does Axios give you a spot, or do we just export like fetch all or something?
So we can probably do a helper function like fetch all mangas.
Yep. Yeah. Like ideally, your manga sources should be somewhat of an interface. Like there needs to be consistency across.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So then instead of actually including this, what we can actually do is import fetch all mangas directly.
Yes.
And then just do that. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah. And like I think normally you want to template string, but it doesn't matter. We don't want to get into too much trouble.
Wait, what do you mean?
Moment. Like you don't want to hard code the 0, obviously. You want to template string it in the future, but it doesn't matter.
I don't even know what the 0 here does anymore. Can't remember.
It's the language.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Yeah. So you probably want to like accept 0 as an argument and then template string it in, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter for now.
Is that even a good idea? Because like...
Yeah, how do you change language then?
Well, the whole assumption of this is that we're not, because our API is like the other language we have is Italian. So
yeah, for now, but for everything else you do, you need.
Yeah, but then if like Like, honestly, how many Manga APIs out there support both English and Italian? Is like my
Probably
question.
all of them.
Really?
Well, there'll be at least Japanese, I'm guessing.
But there's no Japanese here, is my point. So
I
you
don't know if
template
there's
string
no
the whole
Japanese.
thing, and then it's like, what do you get out of it? I think it's like almost
Yeah.
just support English.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you want your interface to mirror the API. You don't want to make assumptions in the interface, right? Like, all your assumptions should be in your other stuff, like all your queries and stuff. So you can hard code 0 in the getter, but why would you hard code it in your interface? And then for chapters, you got to for chapters you got to do the same thing anyway, right? You still have to template string the chapter ID. Yeah, like I think where you hard code it, I think it's better to hard code.
But doesn't it make more sense here?
Doesn't really matter,
because like just to finish off the point is because I'm looking at this function and I'm thinking that this function fetch all mangas is specifically to fetch all English mangas. So if I had a different file for a different manga API, yeah, I know, but like you can rename it if you want to, but the whole like assumption of our services so far and everything we've got is that the API is going to be in one language. Like it's not going to be multilingual. And even if it were, then we'd have to consider like some bridge to support different languages, right? Like maybe even something between all of the Manga APIs we might have.
But it's like, but I think the point is like you're pre-locking yourself down in a spot where you don't need to. Like it makes almost no difference to just template string here.
But then okay, so let's just say we pass in this as like, I don't know, we call it language ID or whatever. But then
or you can just pass in language. To be
honest, if we just do a 0 here like that.
No, you can just do English.
Oh, so you'd specifically specify English.
Yeah, EN. Yeah, you do EN, and then you can just inline map EN to 0.
But then in that case, it almost makes more sense to do this.
Why would it make sense to do that?
Because
that's not how the API works.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is like if you have Manga Eden, there might be a different Manga API we get that only supports Japanese and it doesn't support English. So then if you want a consistent API that
No, that's fine. That's fine. Like your APIs don't have to return mangas. So for the other one, you just return an empty array in the other adapter because there's no such thing as English.
Why do we allow different Manga APIs to be accessed by Chrome? Because then it's almost like if you're going to use
different mangas.
Yeah, but if you're going to use different adapters, then it's like almost to the point where like you have your cron here, and then you have an adapter wall in the middle, which then supports different languages. And like for example, if you do await adapter.fetch all for English, then it would take English results from different sources. And then it seems like almost the adapter would do that work because the adapter knows which ones support English and which ones support Italian and Japanese and whatever else. So
but isn't that the point? Like, so let's just say we have n number of mangas, right? Like sources, right? So what you would do is you would have an array of the sources of the manga sources, and then you just do fetch all mangas English on all of them.
Yeah, exactly. So then all of that is like in an adapter as opposed to having it inside of here. So inside of here, it's just like, it's literally just, I don't know, like maybe you might pass in the 0.
Or like I think you pass in language. You pass in English, EN.
EN here. Doesn't your adapter go here then?
This is the adapter. Like you don't know 0. So you want to interact with all the adapters in the same way. You want to interact with, let's call it manga source so we don't confuse people. You want to interact with all the manga sources in the same way. So you want to normalize the different sources. So you don't want to pass in 0 because 0 is not the same in a different source, right? Yeah. So you want to pass in, English, EN.
Yeah.
And then in here, you just do an inline, like an object map, and then just, get the 0 from the map.
Yeah. But then, no, I think we're mostly on the same page. Like I thought what you meant was like, so what you mean is turn this here into an adapter so that supports multiple languages in a single function.
Well, the adapter is your source, right? Like your manga source's responsibility is to just give a consistent API to the rest of the service. and then do all the work that is source related. Yeah.
So then what is the benefit of your approach with like passing an en here?
Yeah. So maybe just can I type? Is there a way I can
Okay.
type in this? Is it possible?
You can type?
Wow, that is amazing. Can I click? Oh my gosh. Zoom is pretty amazing. It's really laggy though. Holy crap. So you literally just go like this, right? Sorry, not en. So you literally just put in the language. Like you can do a assertion, right, to make sure you support the language so you don't have weird stuff. And then you can just inline the map, or you can create another function outside. Doesn't really matter. I'm lazy.
So you mean like if lang key, then I'll just return this?
Promise.resolve.
Do you have
promise.resolve? Yeah, because your ACS.get returns a promise.
So you want just trying to keep it as a promise?
Yes. So you want to promise.resolve.
Isn't this better?
I mean, you don't need to await the last one. And it's not the same. You still need to promise.resolve like data, because you want to keep the interface the same. You can't just return MTR, right? Because Axios.get gives you data it gives you data.array, right?
Okay, yeah, but that's a different problem, right? So like, what would we return here?
You would return something that looks like an Axios response and just give an empty array.
That seems like
or you just
idea.
throw. Or you just throw.
Why don't we just do like that?
No, I don't like that. No, that's a bad idea, because you need to know the status response for many of your, like you 100% need to know status response if you want to do things. You want to do any error handling. Yeah.
But shouldn't error handling belong in here anyways?
No, because you don't, because this is the adapter. It has no idea. It doesn't care how you want to handle errors. That's the responsibility of your service. Like you can send back an image, you can send back.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so that's fine. But then the problem is like if you start
you should probably throw. You should probably throw there.
Just throw then.
Yeah, you should probably throw a custom error, like error manga not exist or something, or error language not exist.
But then, I see your point though overall.
Yeah.
So then, what is the benefit of this syntax here specifically over syntax like this?
It's just really verbose. What's the point?
Because then it clearly defines which languages are available. Like this one here, you're kind of relying on an assumption of EN being English, right?
But then your API is just ridiculous. Even if you think about Manga Eden's API, what's the point of doing list/0? Why don't they just do English list, Italian list?
No idea.
Yeah, it's just such a verbose API design, right?
Their one is like almost forgivable because they're trying to save like a few bytes or something. I don't know why.
In the URL.
But in our case here, it doesn't change anything, right? Because like from a space saving perspective, it doesn't do anything. But in my opinion, isn't this easier to read? No,
it's horrible.
Why?
Because you're fetching mangas, right? All the mangas are the same. So you're fetching the same information, just a different language. So it's like, isn't that the point of an API? Otherwise, what's the point of having an API?
No, but then I see like you can't really because languages is not just a feature of mangas.
Yeah,
it's almost like it changes everything, right?
And also, it's so not extensible as well. Like as soon as you have a new source that has a new language, you have to extend the interface.
Yeah, but I mean, you're doing the same thing
you just
here.
add. You're not. You're just.
And you're adding your own code as well. Like you're adding your own code.
No, you're adding a new key. You're adding new value to the function, but you're not extending the interface. Like imagine your documentation. It's going to be all the same. The only thing different is it just supports another language. Whereas now you're adding a complete new method.
I would disagree with that slightly on the point that. And I mean, I just want to finish having this discussion because I feel like it's beneficial.
Fair enough.
But like, let's just say we wrote up documentation for Manga Eden.
Yeah.
Then inside of Manga Eden, you would have to write specifically for Manga Eden. It has a fetch all mangas function, right? Like assuming the syntax here, and then we might have a second API. We'll call it I don't know, like second Manga API, right? On our second Manga API, we'd also have fetch all mangas. So they both have the same function name. But then the language keys that it could take in potentially could be different. Manga Eden could take in EN and IT for Italian. And then the other one might have EN and JP for Japanese or JA, I don't know. So then, in any case, you'd still have verbosity and like
No, you don't.
duplication within your documentation.
This is not about documentation. This is about like interface. So you don't you need to know that your services accepts like an interface called Mango sources,
Okay.
right? And the interface should be the same for every Mango source. It has to be the same for every Mango source. Otherwise, it's not an interface.
This actually also begs the question as to like where this is actually being used, right? Like even if you have this, how would that be used? It would only be used inside of cron, right?
For now, yeah.
Yeah. So then if it's used inside of cron and we seed it specifically, how would that work across different Mango APIs anyways?
You just import your bunch of things, right? Your different. Yeah. So instead of fetch all English Mango, it's fetch all Mango.
Oh, actually, should we move transform Mango Eden into here as well? Because technically this is like it's an API or source specific adapter, right?
Well, it's a transformer in the thingy. But it is source specific for sure. Yeah. Yeah, you can move it in there actually. It's fine.
Yeah, so then you probably put it like, so if we do this, then we'd probably put it in. And then would you just call it transform mangas?
Yep, you just call it transform manga.
Show me mangas, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And then export const transform mangas.
I don't think you should export it anymore. Actually, you shouldn't export it anymore.
Oh, so literally just like.
Yeah, but you have to keep the data the same. So you just do .then and then data dot mangas or whatever. Yeah, whatever you did in the cron. Yeah, and then just return. You need to return, but like return.
Oh yeah, oops, my bad. Oops. Yeah. And then fetch all mangas. So then we do fetch all mangas here.
Yep, and put in en. Yep.
And like that, and then res.data dot. Why dot manga? Just wait. This is what?
Oh, it might be res.data.manga.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then res.data again, and then.
No, res.data.manga.
No, res.data here, because.
I think I think just keep it.
Good.
Yeah, I think just keep it how it was before. Like otherwise, we might just start crashing. Like just keep it how it was.
Wait,
so
really?
res.data. Yeah, just do res.data.manga equals to. Because why are we changing the data structure now?
You're changing the data structure here anyways.
No, as in like all we did was move code from one file to the other. So why are we changing the data structure at this point?
Oh, you mean right now, or like?
Yeah, just keep it how it was before.
Changing it in general is a bad idea.
No, just like right now, we shouldn't be changing it right now, right? Yeah.
So you mean keep this? And
keep that and keep the comment. Yeah, because we're just refactoring right now. We're not doing anything else.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense. Okay, cool. So.
Yep. So if you have multiple mangas, right, you just import different manga source, literally. Yep. And then you just do a
and then
r.map, or promise.all, and then that's it, right?
Yep. Yeah. Cool. You still need to continue to convince me on why this API is better than hard coding the names. No,
but 100%. When have you that argument? Look, just look at like documentation for any single SDK. Yeah, they're not going to have one function per option. They're going to have a generic function, and then you pass the option in as an argument.
A lot have functions like fetch.
Only if it returns different things. But if it returns the same thing, just like different, then it's an option, right? It's not a different thing.
I can't think of any example off the top of my head, but I'll keep a note of that, and I'll think about it as well, because I honestly I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think this looks more janky, but. Anyways,
I'm surprised that's even a question, but yeah.
All right. Anyways, so we've got Axios here, which becomes Axios ME.
Yep.
Caching. What do we do? Oh, actually, before we do that, let's just get this part working.
Just make the fetch. Yeah, okay. Make the fetch first.
So, do we do the fetch inside of here, like await Axios ME.get, or should we put that inside of here?
Put that inside here. So you should do fetch chapter. And then it should accept chapter ID.
Fetch all chapters for manga is unnecessary, right? No, this is for fetching all the chapters. So fetch all chapters equals, like, do we do manga ID like this or manga ID like that?
Well, we probably should call it fetch manga info.
True, my bad. Yep. Fetch manga info. Put it here. Once again, like this or like that?
I preferred in an object, to be honest. As long as we consistently call it manga ID everywhere in our code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about this one though?
You can put in an object or language. Doesn't really matter.
So
it depends how many options you have.
It's just more like extensibility, right? Like even if you have only one now, what's the possibility that you'll have more in the future? So even in this case, like it could possibly take in more, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It just depends like how you think it's going to evolve in the future. It honestly doesn't matter. Yeah. And I think the problem is once typing is involved, this is less of an issue because we don't have types. Yeah. Okay. So this just makes it a bit more legible. Also, I'm not a fan of hoisting, but I guess it's fine.
What do you mean?
Like you're hoisting transform mangas, right? You're using it before. Well, not hoisting, but like you're declaring it after.
So you mean this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
I know it looks ugly, but I just think it's better.
Honestly, it wouldn't look this ugly if we didn't have print width 60 here. If this were 120, and then
True.
That's better.
Yeah, it's
and like better. If it was smaller, like this is the normal size I normally work at. So wow, that looks so small.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, just go back. It's fine.
Video purposes, we stick to 60.
Yeah.
And we endure the suffering.
Yeah,
we've got fetch all mangas, and we've got fetch manga info like that, and that's probably fine, right?
Is that correct? The URL?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, just / at the end, I guess.
Fair enough.
Okay, so we go here.
Yeah.
And then, can we do it straight away for chapters? Oh, it's brilliant. Ooh. Should we do it now or later? Transform.
Yeah, we can do it now.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Wait, is it right to do it now or later?
Yeah, you can just do it now. Doesn't matter. It's like 5 lines or something, right? Doesn't matter.
Wait, I think you're misunderstanding. It doesn't matter. Point is, there's no ID here, so we need to manually add in an ID.
That's fine.
I guess, however that works. So we do... let me see. We've got fetch manga info, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what we do is probably like return fetch manga info.
Don't want to return, right? You just want to store in a variable.
Okay, all right.
Oh, okay. Unless you want to return it straight off the bat, maybe. I don't know. I would say store in a variable.
And then would you do something? Oh wait, no. This is the res. So should we call it just res, or how would you normally call that? Like
you can call it res. Okay. Yeah, res is fine. Doesn't matter.
So this, and then would you do something like that?
Why do you need the ID back?
Because we use the ID for caching.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So specifically,
yeah. Let's do that. Res.data is data.chapters, right?
No, it's just data. It's all of it. So all of this.
Oh, okay, all of it. Okay.
Yeah. But now we're only using.
Do you want to just strip out? Chapters then?
Just put in chapters.
Yeah, because I think your declaration only had chapters in it.
Okay. Yeah.
Like your type. Yeah.
Either way, it doesn't matter. But this is fine. And then what we do here is create another file. So I'm thinking create another file called manga info.
Yeah. Okay.
And then for chapters, what we do is specifically for each chapter, we are given an array. So we can break the array down. The first one is the number. The second one is last updated, and then title, and then chapter ID. Right?
Do you want arrays of arrays then, or do you want objects?
No, we want to turn it into an object. But what I'm saying is we do the transformation here.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So then this would become.
I actually disagree that it's there, but yeah, it should be in the sources.
Which one?
The transformation should happen in manga sources. Why would it be here? If you're transforming manga in manga sources, why do you transform chapters?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
But then the question is, where do we stop transforming? Like, to what point? What is the...
You want to transform in the sources for sure.
Yeah, no, I get that. But like when we transform in the sources, then specifically what we're saying is that there will be a consistent API language that we will use across any source.
Yep.
But we haven't defined
That's the
yet.
point. Well, you have, right, your models already, your type defs. You want to be as close to the
Okay.
type defs as
Right.
possible.
So it's almost like we're taking Mango Eden, and then we're
Mhm.
changing the few things we don't like, and then whatever we have left, that's like our consistent API language we use from now on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Alright.
kind of
So
kind of
then,
it, right?
if we're going to do that, we do.
Because you don't want anything source specific to leak outside of Mango sources
Yeah,
folder.
that
So
makes
that
sense.
is like a hard wall. Yep.
So then
Yep.
res.data.
Yeah,
What was it?
Because then what it means is if anything in the sources ever changes, you only need to fix the sources. You don't need to fix anything else in the rest of your code. Otherwise, you just have like leakage,
That makes
definition leakage all over the code base. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yep. Yeah, that looks
I
fine.
guess. Do we just do this, like literally?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, the other one wasn't inline, so I don't know why this one's inline, but it doesn't really matter, I suppose.
What do you mean inline?
Like your transfer mangoes was not inline. That's actually wrong. Your transfer mango is not inline, right? Like it's a function separate. So I would keep it consistent. And also,
right, for this
yeah,
one.
like it's just a
Right,
just a consistency, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I was confused as to what you're saying.
Yeah. And just copy and paste, doesn't matter. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
And then inside of here, what we would do is we'd have the Menga. Oh, so then it's perfect already. So we don't need to do this.
Yep.
And we also don't need this. Brilliant.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so now we get rid of this file. Are we good to go? Maybe we are.
I think so. Maybe.
Let's give it a go. Press play.
Uh-huh.
Cannot return null for nullable field. Okay, so the first thing, this is something which stumped us last time. Some of them might not have titles, maybe. So let's do this and see if that fixes the problem. And if it does, then we are no longer experiencing this issue. Okay, and press play. Aha.
There we go.
Beautiful.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
That's it. Done. Beautiful. Great.
That's it.
So wait, is this the end of our API for now?
We still might need to get the actual chapter because this is just the chapter summary that we're getting, not the actual chapters.
But before we get the actual
chapter info,
we can already start building the front end.
Yeah, we can easily.
Cool.
Yeah.
So in the next video, we are going to be building out the front end to render at one go 6,000 something at the same time. After we do that, then we will figure out pagination with GraphQL. And then from there, we will only return 20 or however many at the same time. And then we add in, wow, actually really close to finishing, hey. Like, and then we do...
I don't know, man. The front end's going to take more time than the back end.
That's what we always say. It's like, we're so close. And then 25 years later. But then we can do... From that point, we can already, like, basically read mangas, right? Like, if you have the chapters information showing and the images, then you can read. And then it's just about building out the front end to however we want it to be.
Yep.
Done.
Awesome. Sweet.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Lucas and Patrick with Better Coding Academy, and see you guys later.
Cool. See you next time.